I do understand that, but it's like how much money you're gonna dump into it. It's like having a.
It's gonna be interesting.
Or how much money you put into it to repair it. I know, it's one of those. It's not, I don't think it's.
Like present might
That's
not
the-
be right for you.
That's how we.
That might not have been updated.
Easy. Can you verify that? Okay.
My phone says 4:31, but that clock doesn't, so.
Go by your phone, boss.
All right. If you're ready, I'd like to call the meeting to order. Start out with a roll call.
Dr. Hayes,
Present.
Dr. Linderman. Here. Mr. Lynn,
Here.
Ms. Rylander.
Here.
Ms. Van Buren,
Here.
Ms. Vincent. Here.
Thank you. First item on the agenda is the adoption of the agenda. It always sounds weird to me. I don't know why, but. So before you have a draft agenda. Entertain a motion to approve the agenda or are we with or without changes?
I'll move to adopt the agenda. Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the minutes. It is recommended that the Board of Health members approve the minutes from our regular meeting on June 26th, 2024. Hopefully everybody has a draft, has had a chance to review them.
Can I move to approve, but I'd like to ask for one change. I know I think I brought this up to Michelle yesterday, but on the third page, the sentence that says Mark Espich, so the second paragraph, Mark Espich explained House Bill 1329 that recently passed that prohibits septic inspections requiring property transfers starting July 1st, 2024. I think if we can say prohibits requiring septic inspections for property transfers, is that more accurate?
Actually, it's prohibits
Or is that?
outside of the sole source aquifer. It's actually should say.
Okay, so we have the rest of it. Prohibits, it says prohibits septic inspections requiring property transfers starting July 1st outside the sole source
Yeah,
aquifer.
there you go. Good.
So that's there, but I think it prohibits. It's like septic inspections requiring property transfers. I just thought maybe prohibits requiring septic inspections for property transfers. Would that work better?
Oh.
Yeah. Okay, that's correct, right? That prohibits
Septic inspections.
requiring septic inspections for property transfers.
Required's in the wrong place.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for explaining it instead of me just stating it. And otherwise, I move to. Should I say, move to. So adopt the minutes, approve the minutes, thank you. I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, I'll just reiterate. So Mark Espich explained House Bill 1329 that recently passed and prohibits the Department of Health from requiring septic inspections for property transfers starting July 1, 2024 outside the sole source aquifer.
Right.
That makes sense. Is that? Okay, so that's what's in the motion. So all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, Board of President announcements. I have Board President announcement. I have no announcements today. Next item on the agenda, Health Officer presentation and report. Item 2425, vote discussion quarterly health officers report. Migliori, turn it over to you.
Thank you very much. Hopefully you all had a chance to look at your packets that Jenny sent out last Thursday. Do you have any specific questions about anything that you've read here?
So I know we talked about this a little bit. I did have this question about social needs assessments and if you, now that we've had the community health worker program and the social needs assessments for a while, like, do you have any quote unquote repeat customers? Like what happens when, for example, somebody's coming, social needs assessment, maybe they have food insecurity, you get them set up, but they come back a couple, maybe they reach out again a few months later and they have a different sort of issue. Like, do they go back through the whole process again, or is kind of a relationship
Yes,
established?
so we follow the community members for 180 days.
Oh,
And
okay.
during that time, they have initial social needs. We have an additional social needs section. So they continue to assist their needs all throughout their time. Sometimes depending on the needs, it may be something that was quick and done within the first 48 hours. Sometimes it may take up to a couple months. For example, sometimes the Medicaid application is pretty cumbersome, require documents, helping them with Social Security, those type of things. So they follow through that process. So then they will also reach out to them for other things because that case is still.
And I guess also, since a lot of what you're doing is connecting them to other community partners, presumably those community partners are aware of them. Establishing like this.
Right, so then that's more of the sustainability. So if you reach out and say you have income and you will qualify for Social Security, then that's the process. So I want to make sure that you are set up and fill out the application, meet all the appointments, filled in with all the required documents so that you, sometimes it will be denied. Sometimes they deny them for things that they did turn in. And so then they're able to help them advocate, reapply the process. So,
Actually, I have another question on the, on table one. The section on transportation, and then that's our biggest request is transportation needs. I'm wondering if there's like a specific type of transportation that, as in, is it specifically trouble getting to medical appointments or trouble getting to
Groceries.
grocery store?
it could be all of them. So the community health worker during the intake will identify what that is they need for transportation. It could be to medical appointments, it could be to a grocery store, it could be to get their kids to their appointment. It could be because they are starting a new job and they don't have any income to say, maybe we might give them a bus pass. But that sustainability portion is you have a job within that 30 days, because that's what the bus pass is for. You will then have your own income to buy bus pass next week. So that's it. So sometimes it could be a bus pass, sometimes it could be Speedway gas card because they do have their own car, but they just can't afford the fuel. So those are.
On the food, on that same chart, food side of that, is it costs associated with food or access to food, good food or
I feel like most that we're seeing is the cost.
costs?
For the access. So it is, we do provide gift cards to help with food, especially for that immediate need. A lot of times community members say that they don't have anything right now when they're doing the intake to feed their children or themselves. And we give them food pantry information based on their proximity, but they also have certain hours, certain days. And so that helps them to be able to get something right now that day. So mostly it's the cost of it.
Thanks.
Any other questions?
So we're here, we're basically not just doing health things, like we're gearing all kinds of services, like, so do you feel like a lot of our hours that that you all use are more geared toward health things or other social things, like?
Yeah, so I think a lot of the times I want people to understand that, especially for our department, we try to address those social drivers of health, right? So when we try to get our message out regarding health and being healthy and having a provider and taking your kid to get a blood tested, it's hard to really receive that message when you're not having your basic needs met. So it's twofold. So we try to do both, help meet those basic needs so that when I tell you the message of making sure you have insurance, that you are going to see your primary care provider, that you're making sure your kids have their immunizations, that's more received. Then they understand that we're coming from a place that we want to try to help you all the way around.
Is there another department that does that as well, though, besides the health department?
As far as health
As far
and
as-
social drivers.
Right, as like addressing things non-related to health, like that you need to address first.
Right, so we see a lot of providers' offices do have some type of setup like we do through their social workers. So they recognize some of those same needs when they're at the office. So they then have a social worker that also tries to help connect them to resources and needs, but they are limited to, say, the patients in that office or within the health system.
But, and I guess I'm not being super clear, but it's like do you feel like we're the front line for those social needs being met, meaning the health department,
Mhm.
not family and children's services, or do people intend to and expect to get those services met through our department as a front line versus
Yes,
other?
I don't know that we are the front line, but I think that people recognize that we're able to do that and that they're coming to us more frequently for that. And I think we have a unique position where we are able to service people throughout the whole county, where some people who do the same type of work we do are limited to their preview.
Do you feel like that as people are coming more to the health department for those needs, do you feel like you have the adequate number of people to meet those needs? Do you,
Yeah.
you know, because obviously the demand, if people are starting to recognize that we're able to help with those needs, they may not use those other services and for more come to us because we can get it all done.
Mhm.
But do you feel like, I just want to make sure you feel like you have enough help for that as it's changing?
Yeah, we have enough help for that, and we still also refer to those other agencies that provide other service. So we're not, say, taking it away from, we're just making sure that they understand we can do this for you, but this place can also do this for you, and this place can do this for you, and we can help you if you understand like literacy, filling out the application, understanding what is required, what the time frame is, things like that. But we are still referring them to those agencies. We're not taking it from.
Yeah, because it's a broad scope. I
Yeah,
hear that.
it is. It is.
Is there anything we're increasing for people that access this agency?
You're what?
Is there anything we're actually increasing the number of people that can access those agencies, such as the FSSA? Because if somebody that previously was able to access those services is able to access those services through us, we're actually increasing the number of people that can, enroll.
And how do we promote that to the public that, like, how is that promoted what you're doing?
So we promoted mobile, I'll say two things. One, we have a commercial that's almost ready to launch. So that's going to be geofenced. And so like when you're on your phone and you see those ads that pop up when you're on Instagram or Facebook, or if you're watching YouTube. So we have that, but then also we participate in a lot of events throughout the city, throughout the county. And we are also always promoting the program. We have flyers, handout materials to community members. That's what the section is when we talk about the events. So sometimes we may talk to community members more in depth about what we do, how the services we provide. And sometimes they may just take it and go on. Maybe they may share it with somebody who could need it. So we do a lot of promotion by events. So we're at events where we can see mass amount of people all at one time. And then we have a lot of partners that we have what we will call reoccurring events. So we have community health workers that is at a community-based state organization that's open to the public, say on Tuesdays and Thursdays through whatever set hours, and that they can take appointments where they can see walk-ins there. So we do it a variety of ways.
Do you guys reach out to the healthcare providers and let them know what we do here or no?
Yeah, we do, but what we found is a lot of times in office, they have somebody who does something. So like for HealthLink, we do have, just for example, a really good relationship with them, and they have community health workers in their office. So they're able to see, again, like, for example, what I said, they're only gonna see the ones that are in their office.
Right.
So.
Nice.
Anything else to that?
Thank you for all your good work. I've said it before about the getting people on insurance and filling out those forms. That's a tough thing that I think people are just like, I'll just go to the emergency room.
Yes.
But you're there helping them, and that's, I think.
It is, and especially when they speak Spanish and working with the FSA, is very cumbersome. And then so they will let them know that they are Spanish speaking, for example, or any other language, and that they need to have somebody on the phone if they do the appointment that can speak that language. And they will call them speaking English, and then they could deny you for that though too. So it's a lot of.
Good work. On page 20 of this chart, I think there's a typo on the septic system replacements for last year. Year to date, we have 11. I'm not sure that's a typo, but it seems really low. I always look for, like large swings in the numbers.
Yeah, so, and I'm not sure quite what happened because I saw what we had forwarded and it said 111, so it should say 111.
Okay, that's what I was,
Yeah.
that's feasible. Thank you.
And I believe, there was another one that I can just correct while we're talking about it. So under the lead program for parent requested assessments, there's an empty box that should say 40.
When you guys are talking about permitting, it seems like we always have more applications received than issued. Is that just a normal, there's things that have to be done still, or what? Is there, I know we were talking about staffing and all that last time.
A lot of it is not. It's not, I mean, we can't force somebody to do the permitting process. Sometimes we'll get applications but we'll give them their minimum design specifications, and then they take an amount of time to get a designer, or they may decide to move on to a different project and put it on the back burner. So I would say that there's always going to be a discrepancy. It's because we're not just rubber stamping every application, and there is a process, and a lot of that process is hands off from the health department's perspective.
Not that you feel like you have adequate staff. We talked about that in the budget meeting, decreasing your staff, and we said to keep one, and you feel like remember you guys were changing your system, all the fun things that are happening.
Yeah, there's a lot of changes in the septic world happening right now. I think we're at the current time, things are going well from my understanding. And as the season goes on and what's the change in the law, I think we'll evaluate where we stand. So I think as of this moment, I think things are trucking along.
And where are you guys at in the going live with the online? Like it's an informational thing, they can see where their permit is at and all that. good
Oh, for Civic Gov. Yeah, Civic Gov, I think is still in the works, but they anticipate soon-ish, and that is a political answer.
stuff. Okay.
But to our knowledge, it's like, they keep saying, it's about to happen.
Okay.
Yeah.
So,
But having weekly meetings,
it what?
we've been having weekly meetings for the Civic Gov, so
Okay.
the process is on.
Come soon. My only comment is, since I don't know Brett's here, saw you on TV, it was a great interview. And how's it going with the notifying the world about the fogging work we're doing? Is that going pretty smoothly?
Yeah, so far, we've had 45 people fill out the request for notification. Some of them are from Michigan, some of them are from Goshen, But so I think we're at about, I'm at 38 people within the county that would get notified if spraying was occurring in their area.
Okay.
We've only sprayed twice so far this year, which is great. But we are running about a week ahead of schedule, or a week ahead of where we were last year, as far as positives go.
Great.
How do people how can people sign up to get notified? It's just on the website?
Yep, it's on the website and it's now on the front page of our website. There's a bunch of links like how can I, whatever.
Okay,
And one of them is how can I get notified about mosquito spraying?
okay.
And fill out a form. You don't have to even put your name, just put the address of property that we would want notification for. And we have our procedure is to be live with information by 5 o'clock the afternoon/evening spraying would occur. And so at around 3:30 is kind of our cutoff for anybody who'd be filling out anything that day because there's still a manual process that we have to do. But between like 3:30 and 5, as we're getting our information together, we can send out via red cap email and or text to anybody who would like, if the property is located within the buffer area in which we would be spraying.
And how is the spraying occurring? Like with crop duster kind of spraying or what?
In the back of a truck, ultra low volume truck mounted fogger. It's not the old school billowing smoke fogger. Ultra low volume, like I said, like a shot glass aerosolized over a football field. We're in the process of getting a new electric fogger, which would be much quieter, a lot, not gonna wake any babies like the old school one that we've been using. But things are going along well as far as the new invigorated vector program.
And how does that affect, how do you guys track how it affects the other insects we like, I guess?
We only perform spraying in the evening or at night as to not affect non-target species. I have also done an incredible amount of research and reviewing of studies on which different products may be better suited for different areas and not have less effect on, bees and dragonflies and all that sort of stuff. And all the decisions we make on chemical are very deliberate decisions. So that way we know that we are not overextending or impacting non-target species.
But you mentioned we've only sprayed twice this year?
We've only had 2 positives, and so we only go and spray via truck mounted sprayer when there is a public health threat. And so at this point, that public health threat would be a positive West Nile pool. And like I said, we've had 2 so far this year, and so those would be the 2 events, one 2 weeks ago and one last week.
So where do you know where to go? So where do you spray?
We spray a roughly half-mile to mile radius around the trap that collected the mosquitoes that tested positive, because that would be the flight range of the mosquitoes that carry West Nile.
If somebody signs up for notification, will they have to sign up again every year, or are you hoping that you just kind of roll over?
Right now, this is our
It's the
first year.
first year, so you don't have to deal with that every year.
My gut thought, my first thought would be at the beginning of the year, we would send out an email to everybody saying, if you would like notifications again this coming year, please fill this out again. We just send that to the list of anybody who signed up in case people have moved away,
Yeah,
get a new homeowner who's getting these random notifications that they didn't sign up for, that sort of thing.
and then they're annoyed because.
Yeah.
And they're signing up because there is a toxicity, allergic, whatever issue that they're like.
It's just an effort of transparency. There's no legal requirement whatsoever for any form of public notification. But for years, I felt that, we don't want to seem like we're doing anything underhanded or anything like that. We want to be upfront with it all with information. So if anybody does want to make, there's no issues with the spraying. It does not have an impact on public, it's not been associated with asthma. It's not been associated with all of those things, especially at the volumes that we're using it at. But if people would feel better if they closed their windows or made sure that they, weren't sitting on the front porch, they have the opportunity to be notified, so that way they know in advance.
And you said someone drives around in a truck and sprayed that?
Mhm.
And are they wearing protective gear when they're doing that?
When I'm driving around the truck, I'm not wearing like a full gas mask. that's not really necessary, and I don't think that instills confidence in the public if I'm driving around. Gas mask, tell everybody she's okay.
But you feel safe about, you're right there spraying it, so then the public could also be like, yeah, look at, he's spraying it.
Yeah, I like when I'm handling chemical, I'm wearing gloves and long sleeves and a shield and that sort of thing. But that's because I'm dealing with like a drum's worth of stuff. When I'm actually out driving the truck around and I'm just tooting along in the truck, everything's fine.
I think I remember last year, there was we received reports, information that there were just some people who, for a whole wide variety of reasons, wanted to be made aware of the spraying, and we talked about, can we find it easy, not time consuming or anything to do it, and it seems like you figured out a way that people can sign up and then get the notification.
Yep.
And so
Yep,
that makes them feel better for whatever reason.
Yep, we're still posting.
Baby inside.
We're still
so she
posting
can pick up.
a notification sheet that says where we're spraying, what we're spraying, that sort of thing on our website, as we have done for the past 5-ish years. But now there's the extra element if you want to be notified to go look for that, now you can.
And if I'm a beekeeper, so this is why I'm asking this question. So once you spray, how long do you need to worry about aerosol in the air or whatever? Like,
the products that I use, again, like I've been very deliberate about what I'm getting. They degrade in sunlight. Most of them, the half-life is only a couple of hours, especially the morning dew comes, the sunlight comes, everything breaks down. Specifically for bees, if you are a beekeeper, you can register your hives on BeCheck, which is in collaboration with the Office of the United States Chemist. I do check BeCheck and Drift Watch for registered organic farms to make sure that we aren't impacting anything. We are maintaining a safe distance from them. So that way, even though the bees won't be out and we're not going to be close to them anyway, just that, again, that extra buffer of security.
Any other questions for Dr. Leary and staff? How's the new fruit code going?
Back to take, we don't have a change.
Well,
Push back, so. I think September and it's been pushed back, so we're still hopeful that it'll be this year. It's kind of like that.
all right, good. Nothing else, our spotlight. So,
Before we get started, I do have new timelines. I know that there's a slide in your packet that has a timeline. We recently updated the timeline, so I have new timelines for everybody.
okay. Our spotlight this month is on the Health First Indiana grants. So that program.
Yep. So, hi, everyone. I'm Gemma Rose. I'm the Director of Community Partnerships and Development. And today we're going to talk about Health First St. Joseph County, where we are currently with the program and where we're going to be in 2025. So our agenda for today is key performance indicators, community partners by core service, our internal program list, and then Health First St. Joseph County 2025. So first, I want to talk about the key performance indicators. This is a collective progress among all organizations and all KPIs. So you'll see that we have a % complete and a % to go. The lighter color is the % completed and the darker color is the % to go. This is done by taking the numerical value of the KPIs that we currently have completed divided by the total number of KPIs that we anticipate by the end of the grant cycle. So we got 19.3 and then we subtracted 100 minus 19.3 to get the 80.7. I know that seems a little bit behind for a quarter. We would expect it to be about 25%, but we're taking into account that different grants were distributed at different times due to different execution dates, as well as the planning process that came into effect for a lot of these the new programs as they started their project or activity. So our first community partner group that we're going to talk about is the Chronic Disease Community Partners. This includes Spike Michiana Coalition, Indiana University School of Medicine, South Bend, Portage Township, Real Services, St. Margaret's House, United Health Services, and Unity Gardens. We want to emphasize that we have these community partners listed, and we have help from these community partners to help with encouraging a healthy lifestyle and eating nutritious foods. So I'm not going to be touching base on every single one of these organizations that are listed, but I would encourage you to read through the slide and see all the organizations that are listed. I'm only going to highlight a couple from each slide to keep the presentation short and concise. So our first program that we're going to highlight is Portage Township. They are currently doing their Nourish program, which will feature cooking classes in different with different community partners, as well as a website that will have a link to register for those classes, a community cookbook, and a map with the grocery stores that are approved for SNAP and WIC. Our next community partner that we're going to talk about is St. Margaret's House. Their grant is reaching some of the most vulnerable women in St. Joseph County. 69% of their guests in 2023 had an income less of $1,000 per month, and 80% of their guests were considered housing unstable in 2023. Through this grant, they've been able to host classes and field trips for the women that they serve. These are activities or field trips that they're not able to do on their own. And so having access through St. Margaret's House is super impactful for these women. I've gone and visited St. Margaret's House, and all of them have had a positive experience and really enjoy the field trips that they go on. So I think it's a great thing that they're doing. And then lastly, for this slide, we're going to highlight Unity Gardens. They recently hired a full-time educator that hosts a variety of different activities at Unity Gardens. But today I want to highlight their youth garden art club, which I got to see in person for the first time a couple weeks ago, and they were painting birdhouses. It was a bunch of youth and their families, and it was really cool to see them painting birdhouses, but also interacting with the garden. They also have done rock painting, bottle cap wind chimes, and bug hotels.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah.
It's to how to read a couple of these slides. You have like Real Services, for example, you have a notation 52 out of 100.
Yes.
Can you tell me what those numbers refer to?
Yes. So
Okay.
52 would be their current KPI that they met, that they achieved, and then 100 is their goal for the end of the grant cycle.
So
So I noted 52 out of 100 because that's how many they anticipate to reach in the grant cycle.
So for like Real Services, if 52 out of 100, they already reached 52 participants out of the total 100 that they hope to reach by the end of the year.
Yep.
Okay, that'll just make reading it through everything going forward much easier.
Yeah.
Okay.
No problem. Next is infectious disease surveillance and prevention community partners. For this one, we have HealthLink and Street Medicine.
Excuse me real quick.
Yes.
You said end of year. Is this truly end of year, or do we have until like the end of the first quarter?
It's the end of the year.
It is the end.
December 31st.
Okay.
30 March.
I didn't know because we had a late start.
Yeah, they just got to use it for those months.
Gotcha.
So for infectious disease surveillance and prevention, HealthLink saw over 3,000 total patients tested for all testable STIs. 31% of their patients received same-day HIV testing in addition to STI testing. 65.5% of all patients 15 to 65 are tested for HIV. 60% of patients 13 years and older who have been screened for HCV one time or more. 50% of patients with HCV are linked to care, and 50% of newly diagnosed HIV patients return for care within 30 days. You'll note that they did surpass their KPI already. They're about 400 over what they currently established for the beginning of the grant cycle. And then Street Medicine has tested 13 out of 100 individuals. They outlined that some of their obstacles include getting patients to come to the appointment and also wanting them to engage in their own care instead of trying to push them to come to the appointment. Wanting people to be wanting to engage in their own care, as well as having some insurance issues with the medications that they want to give to people. Our next one is maternal and child health community partners. This includes Beacon Health System, Ebler Warner Family Medicine Center, Northern Indiana Maternal and Child Health Network, or NIMCHN, University of Notre Dame and Women's Care Center. So Memorial Hospital is has currently hired a community health worker that's working with 23 patients that are participating in their monitored blood pressure program. Their goal is 116. I just didn't put it on the slide. So they are currently at 23 out of 116 for patients. Like I said, they recently hired this community health worker, so we expect their numbers to go up in Q2. The next organization that I want to highlight is the University of Notre Dame. They're doing pop-up villages in August in Mishawaka and September in South Bend. They really wanted to emphasize that these pop-up villages were created with community partners, not just Notre Dame researchers. And then Women's Care Center has seen 505 out of 1,900 women served in Q1, 224 out of 1,000 care program sessions in Q1. They've seen an increase in their number of women that made it to one of their centers, number of ultrasounds, number of classes attended, and number of first trimester prenatal care referrals. Our next is school wellness community partners. That includes Cultivate Food Rescue, Mental Health Awareness Michiana, Purdue Extension, St. Joseph County, and South Bend Empowerment Zone. So Cultivate Food Rescue has already seen their baseline of 670 children. They've already served 670 children meals. Their goal is to add 50 new students to their list by the end of the grant cycle.
So I'm sorry, you said their KPI was 670? That's what they're trying to
That's
serve?
their baseline is 670. That's what they hit every year. So their
Oh.
KPI is 50 to get 50 new students. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep, no problem. And then Mental Health Awareness Michiana held 3 classes with over 263 students. They're continuing to build relationships with the schools and want to have a bigger launch in the fall for these classes. I will note that I didn't note on the slide, but they are also over their KPI. They only anticipated 200 students and they hit 263 within the first 3 classes. Our last community partners group is tobacco prevention and cessation. And for this, we only have St. Joseph's Health System. They recently hired a youth vaping prevention coordinator who started May 5th. She's preparing herself over the summer to meet with school representatives as well as parent programs. But during this time, she's going to summer camps to talk about the dangers of tobacco and vaping. They're still looking to hire a tobacco cessation coordinator, and they're promoting that position as we speak. Some of our internal programs include radon, RRP, immunizations, maternal and child health, and vital records, CHW referral program. These are just some of the programs that we have, and questions about these programs can be addressed during the next unit spotlight that that the units have, as they should be talking about these programs. Lastly is our Health First St. Joseph County 2025. So our current grant timeline includes letter of intent publicly posted on August 5th, having a community info session on August 12th, letter of intent opening August 13th, having a Q&A session August 21st, letter of intent submission due by September 6th, the full proposal due by October 14th, our review period being October 14th to November 7th, having public presentation sometime in November, and then having board approval by December 4th and having a notice of awards go out on December 6th. We are hoping to execute all contracts for 2025 in January. Some updates this year is that we are going to have a deadline for contracts signed. There would be a firm deadline. If someone does not meet that deadline, they're not going to be executed. We're also changing our financial reporting a little bit. We're implementing a consequence for those individuals that do not submit their financial reporting 1 or more months in a row. This is because we've had some difficulties with some organizations submitting their financial reporting this year, and we're unable to do anything about it. The consequence will probably be that we're putting them on probation with risk of termination. We also are asking that no Board of Health, Department of Health, or family members of Board of Health and Department of Health apply for HFI funding. This isn't necessarily something that we've had a concern with this year. We didn't have anybody from that pool this year, but we're just placing emphasis on not having that this year due to conflict of interest. And then we want to also formalize our routine for check-ins. I currently do check-ins on a very as needed basis, but we thought that it would be beneficial to have a more formal check-in routine with these community partners. Thank you. Any questions?
So how are we addressing, the lack of meeting their plan? Like, do you follow them and be like, hey, you only saw 16 people out of 100 and.
Yes, so when gathering this data for this presentation, I met with all 19 community partners one-on-one because we did see a lot of zeros for different areas. So this information that I provided with you is due to that conversation that I had with them of where they're at currently. This is just to show that they're actually making progress. They're not just at zero for their thing. They're doing the steps taken to get to their KPIs, and we're hoping to see improvement, like I said, in Q2.
And they, their projections, like for instance, the money that we are sharing with them to meet those goals, do they receive that quarterly or is it all?
They
upfront?
receive their, they do monthly financial reporting that we reimburse by month. Yep.
So they're not getting the money and not doing the job is what I'm saying.
Right.
Like,
If they're not doing any work, they should be submitting zeros if they're not spending any money.
Do we anticipate needing any special, at least general Board of Health meetings to get these things approved, or do we just kind of figure it out closer to the time? I'm just seeing Board of Health approval is the 4th.
Yeah,
that would
how
probably be
does
expected.
that's what, well, that was one of my questions too. Who makes the decision? What group of people bring those to us? Cause we don't vote, right, on which ones we want. You guys tell us which ones you want us to approve, correct?
Right. In order to get everyone executed in January, we are going to be asking that we do a special meeting with the Board of Health to approve the candidates the organizations that we choose.
And who chooses them?
Actually, yeah, that's coming up a little later. We're recommending forming a new subcommittee of the board, committee of the board,
Oh, okay,
to specifically deal with Health First Indiana grant requests.
okay.
So,
It's not like someone in the health department that does, I assume there's a lot of screening that you do as well as other members of the team, right?
Yeah, so as far as I know, it'll be myself, Amy Ruby, Dr. Migliore, and potentially Dr. Purushottam involved in the process, as well as the subcommittee from the Board of Health.
correct.
But I know
think-
this was new. This was our first year of doing it. So we had 19 organizations that you all presented to us. Were there more that actually applied than the 19?
Yes.
That's kind of the question.
Right.
So
Yeah.
this is one of the things we're redoing is the process, right?
Gotcha.
So now
Okay.
we're gonna create a subcommittee of the board that's gonna help review and bring to the full board instead of just the department bringing to the full.
Any other questions?
I do like that you had to go and met with all of them to kind of get their progress.
Yeah.
It kind of keeps them on their toes too. So I thought that was great. So thank you for the presentation.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks, Jenna.
Appreciate it.
Jenna has done a great job keeping track of monthly KPIs, following up, keeping close tabs on people and being available. So it's time consuming, but she's done a great job.
Anything else on the quarterly health officers report? Any other questions, comments? If not, I would entertain a motion to approve the quarterly health officer.
I motion to approve the health officers.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next section on the agenda, new business, item 2426, discussion and vote, recommendation to the Board of County Commissioners regarding the vacated Board of Health seat vacated by Dr. Migliore. So I think our obligation is to send some resumes, 3 ideally, over to the commissioners, and they can do whatever they want with them. We did have 6 people submit resumes, 5 or 6. Can we say who they are?
You can say they are, yeah.
How did we get to the 3 then that are in front of us? The personnel committee?
Um, I don't know where you got those 3 from Jenny.
Yeah.
She gave us.
Yeah, Betsy and I sat down and kind of picked the 3 we thought were best qualified. But I think we're gonna send are we sending all of them? Yeah, we're gonna send all the resumes we received to the commissioners. And then ideally, we would also send a recommendation from the board of who we think is best.
But we didn't see the other 3.
But I apologize for that, but I can list their names.
Some of them weren't qualified. They didn't meet, the list of like who,
Like you're a Democrat, you're a,
Yeah.
whatever.
there were 3 people that really didn't qualify because they didn't fill a specific listed requirement.
Okay.
So should I name all of them or just the 3 that?
I didn't vet all of them. I mean, some of them, like, we can't send a Republican on by state statute for this particular seat, so. I mean, it wouldn't do any good to name someone who.
No, I do, if they
Couldn't
were,
be regardless.
yeah, if
Yeah.
these
These are the ones
these
who
are
were
the only
vetted.
Democrats that meaning you voted last as a Democrat then.
So how many seats
The
do
other
we
3
have?
don't matter.
Are we just looking at one?
We still have 2 open, but no?
Those are the
Those
mayors.
aren't us.
yeah.
Yeah.
Mayor.
What we're doing is there's an open commissioner seat and we are sending names on for the commissioners. And the commissioners can take our recommendation or not take our recommendation, but this is our statutory obligation. The board is to send some names on to the commissioners for their consideration.
And for those other 2 seats, are we,
We do not
don't
think
do
those are the mayors.
we're not trying to find people or doing,
It's up to the mayors. I reached out to the mayor's offices, both mayors, multiple times. And got polite responses.
Okay.
Well, my understanding too is that this obligation that we have to send names only applies in a scenario like what we just had with Dr. Migliori, where she resigned her position.
Right, there's an open seat, so
Yeah.
our obligation is to try to help fix or fill it under the
Yeah.
statute.
So when somebody's up for, like their term ends, the board doesn't send names.
But there's 2 open seats. We're not doing anything about those.
Those are different,
Yeah.
those are the mayors.
Yeah, we just aren't making suggestions like this, is what I'm saying. We're not saying, hey, we
Correct. If one of the mayors had an appointee, then vacated, then we would go through a similar process. But the mayors have never put forward anyone. Actually, they need to put forward 3 people. They need to do the same thing we do, right? The mayors are obligated to put forward 3 names, and the commissioners choose one. The mayors have never put forward, neither of the mayors have put forward 3 names for the commissioners to choose.
And they also have other specific,
They have very specific
Qualifications.
requirements in the statute of who can and cannot.
Well, that's why I was reading through these and am I allowed to say these names or no?
I think so, yeah.
So Michael seems like he would meet one of those, superintendent.
He does.
So why in the world would we not be like, here's another person, please? Right? For our mayors, correct? I know I know it's over what we're supposed to do, but
Once again, I reached out to the mayor's offices. The mayors are aware, the mayors know the process, the mayors know what to do. My understanding is both the mayors have tried and it is what it is.
just saying, okay.
You can always reach out.
I will be happy to call them both if I get. I have no problem doing that.
I've talked to the mayors a couple of times and I know they each kind of like to have people from their communities. And so
And
He is.
Ranger.
that's like not
Not either of
counted,
them really.
doesn't count in
Not
the
a-
community.
he's not a voter in a municipal mayor or mayoral election.
They were very targeted in their searches.
Yeah. Anyways, okay.
So anyhow, I think everybody has seen Dr. Heckman Davis's put her request or application or willingness to be on the board. as well as Frank Specia. We all kind of know him, good guy. And Michael Hardig, who's a former board member, longtime board member, superintendent.
President.
Yeah,
All us.
yeah, he was the president for quite a while. Willing to come back and help. So there's the three, we need a motion to send these forward with or without a specific recommendation, or do we need to recommend one?
With or without, I would make, if the board has a recommendation, they should give it, but if you don't, then send them on. And that's,
I mean, it seems to me, I think I agree with you that actually the most, not that either of the other two would, but I mean, Michael Harding seems to me to be the most sensible, given the added qualification of, or added sort of diverse position of having been the superintendent, and my goodness, all the experience he's had on the board.
I hate to make, this is just me personally. I hate to speak against, meaning any one of these candidates would be good.
Agreed.
And I really, it's the right word. I would love if we could have two positions filled, like I just said. So I don't know. Obviously, any of them would be good. And we've got like a previous doctor, and I don't know them. I don't remember Frank, but
He
But I
did the
know-
Watch Wednesdays, were you here for the, kind of led that program and the ACEs? and
so
things
I
like
might have
that.
met him. Okay. Okay, I know who it is. Yeah.
So entertain a motion.
I mean, that's my opinion, so I mean,
What's your motion?
should I?
I mean, I would entertain a motion that we send all three of these without a specific recommendation.
Is that a motion?
Yes.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I think that one makes the most sense to me. I feel like I would go the other way, send all three, but with that as the recommendation,
I mean, my
especially since the mayor's
Thinking we
kind of
can't
can't.
thinking
Well,
we can't
the
be like-
mayor's probably wouldn't go with him since he's in neither of those places, right? So, you know,
Well,
get all of that
politics-
benefit without,
well, and as
Potentially losing
Politics
him.
should be aside.
yeah, but if you're gonna lose him anyway.
Yeah.
It's never, I mean, in this instance, if they're,
Mr. Mayor's.
but if they're never gonna pick him because of the fact that he's in neither of their
Yeah, that's.
places, then it seems to me that he's the guy to go for.
And, I mean, he's a known quantity of board members, so mayors would be aware, I would assume that if they were to go to their search that of these individuals who are out there. So, I mean, I know my party a little socially, mostly because my mom taught in Prairie for a long time, so she knew him. That was back when I was in high school. But yeah.
Don't want to
So-
necessarily make a competing motion, but
I guess
I
you're
feel like-
saying,
that would be the motion I would want to make.
I would hate to,
Necessarily, but
I'm frustrated, I guess, with.
I mean,
the mayor.
politics
It's like,
can
we
be
need these
frustrating,
Commissions bill.
right?
We need them to get out
My-
of the political
Well, my
influence of
thought is-
filling a board of health position.
But that
Well-
being said, we've functioned with 7 for a long
Yeah.
time.
Right.
I mean, even before health first increased us to 9, so.
Well, and do we know where the other two, I don't know where Frank lives. We don't know.
They don't meet the requirements, though.
Oh, the other
As
is
Well-
superintendent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
So we have a motion on the table and with a second. Any further discussion? If not, I'll call the vote on that motion. Hearing none. So all those in favor of the motion to send these resumes forward with no recommendation, just send these three, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
Hey, so I want,
Was that just?
I have my opinion.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I get it, I do,
Well, how many
It's a
voted?
very weak nay.
Did we,
Oh.
did we get 4? We need 4 votes? Did we get 4? I didn't, we didn't, okay. Then the motion carries.
Well, I should mention though, that realistically though, the commissioners
Well, but
have, but they
They'll
also,
get to
They heard what we have to say.
Right.
So,
Wait, what?
Even without.
With or without, yeah.
yeah,
Right, and I'm sure they will vet them further and interview them and do the right thing. I trust their process, but I also might call both of the mayors and say, hey.
Please do. Did you want me to repeat the names?
Could you please, someone was wanting
Yeah.
to. hear the
Dr.
names.
Cynthia Heckerman Davis submitted her resume and then Frank's Spacia.
So I heard him say it.
Yep. And Michael Harding, superintendent. Okay. So next item on the agenda is a discussion and vote on, it says committee appointments, but also we have to have a motion to form the committee, or the committee appointments automatically form the committee.
The appointments will form the committee.
Okay, so we'd like to create a new committee, help, we want to call it the Health First St. Joe County, is that what we want to call it? And that committee will look specifically at grant applications that the department funds through the Health First Indiana, Health First Indiana funds. So I think with most committees, I think we have a board policy. Traditionally, the president and the vice president are on all the committees. And then I think we'd like at least one more member to work with the staff on the grant applications and making a recommendation to the board on award. So
That policy, don't you?
I'm happy to be on the committee.
Okay. One volunteer. Volunteers or
I don't mind doing it.
I don't mind either.
Yeah, no, I don't think any of us mind, honestly.
how many should we have? Is there any guidelines on that?
There's no magic number. I would, I mean, my preference would be 3, so you have a minority, so we don't have to make everything. Ability.
Gotcha.
But
You mean just an odd number in general?
The other thing is, it's gonna be a significant time commitment to go through the presentations.
yeah, I mean, if you guys remember the board meeting last year, that was the distilled version. So. Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be great. It'll be lots of community involvement.
Just so you know that going into it.
Somebody care to make a motion
To form the, okay.
to form it or to nominate members?
Oh.
Or,
I'll make a motion to nominate members for the committee.
but specifically, do you want to nominate people?
Doesn't want to nominate yourself.
You're already on it.
You're already on it.
But I can't make it. You're already on it, so it's somebody that's on it and
Ellen was willing to do it, so we won't fight.
I-
We won't
we're
arm
not
wrestle.
gonna-
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve Ellen as the appointment for the committee along with John and I.
okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? or-
I'll second.
Any further discussion or anybody else?
As long as you feel like you're the only medical person on there, that's okay with you.
Oh.
Got it. You're the
Because then
medical
everything's
voice.
medical.
No,
Yeah, no?
well, it is Health First Indiana. That's why I'm saying
Yeah.
it is supposed to be health focused, so. Anyways.
And the recommendations do come to the full board, but.
Yeah.
Have another shot at it. Okay, all those in favor, please say aye.
I,
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Congratulations. Next item, 2428, discussion and vote 2025 budget revised, local public health services.
You have in front of you, as a late attachment to, budgets that are going to be presented to the council and commissioners in a whopping 35 minutes. So this is in order to make sure we get the correct budget approved, the health office, Dr. Migliori and Dr. Shotham and myself met to make some revisions to each of the budgets. So the first budget is going to be the county health fund budget. That is going to be the one where we are moving the funds that are unused in health officer, as well as the benefits tied to that. for the amount needed down below for other contractual to cover Dr. Prashotham's contract. And in doing so, we actually will be reducing our request for 2025. So we are taking some unused funds from health officer and FICA, PERF, and group health insurance and putting the required amount in other contractual services. So that is the requested change for the county health budget.
Can I ask a quick question? It's procedural. Do we need to amend the agenda to discuss the changes to the county health department budget? Because it just lists local public health services.
Well, it says budget, 25 budget.
Okay, okay. So as long as you feel that we're
Yeah, no, you're
okay
fine. You can-
discussing,
you can-
okay,
Yeah, any modification to budget are in, yeah.
okay, okay.
They're all in 24, 28, right?
Well, the change, the county health officer salary and all of that, this is the county health department, like it's
It's-
not local public health
Right,
services.
we're requesting to amend and revise both of them. So the only one on the
So-
original agenda is the local public health services.
So I think Attorney Rylander is making a motion to amend the agenda.
Um,
2024, 2024-31.
Second.
you spoke my mind. Okay, can we vote on it?
Yeah, we have,
We have a second.
Yeah.
we have a second, okay, a motion, a second, any further discussion? Hearing
Let's
none.
change it.
Yeah.
Okay, change,
Hey.
yay, yay.
Aye.
Vote
All
aye.
those- all right,
Okay.
opposed, all right, 24-31, discussion about 2025 budget revised. What was the title of the, what budget is it?
Fund 1159 County Health Department. I'm getting a head nod from Amy and confirmation.
Is that the one we're already talking about?
Yes,
So
That's in addition to the.
we're not talking about,
there.
we're talking about both at the same time, I'm sorry. Or
we
just,
can, if you want them to be one agenda item or two agenda items, I'll follow your lead.
all right, so currently we're talking about item 24-31, discussion and vote on the 2025 budget revised for the county health fund.
Correct.
So that's what we just, that's what we just, that's what we just said.
We just added as agenda. Now if you'd like to vote on it.
We'll move to that item.
Okay, so since we've already had the presentation from Ms. Ruby and the discussion. Can I move to vote?
Yeah, make a motion, any
Okay.
further discussion?
Okay, I will move to recommend suggested changes to Fund 1159 of the County Health Department,
Second.
right?
We have a motion and a second, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
I
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. Back to item 24-28, discussion and vote 2025 budget revised, local public health services.
Yesterday afternoon, I received an email from the State Department of Health notifying us that our 2025 amount had gone up around $19,500. So to include that in our budget request for this evening's budget meeting, we wanted to have that revised, but we also added a line item in the HFI Local Public Health Services Fund. So this is going to be twofold. We are adding an account for 37010 as rent buildings and office space. And we are asking to have this account established so we can set funds aside for office improvements to improve accessibility of the community to the Department of Health. If we do not have any leads on office space by November 1st, we would then go to the auditor's office and ask for an inline transfer of funds to move this unused dollar amount up to the grant opportunities that we would offer to HFSJC community partners. So those are the two line items that are impacted by adding the line item for rent, as well as the additional $19,500 that we are going to be getting in 2025.
Did you say you're moving this? Is that what that's your goal?
I've been here 26 years. That's been the topic for 26 years.
That's the goal.
You know,
Okay. Okay, like
I've
to the
kind of
first
just-
floor in a building.
That'd be
somewhere,
helpful.
You know, yeah.
But HFI does allow us to budget 10% of the overall budget for rent and building purposes. So that's what we are wanting to do for 2025 in hopes that we get.
Got it.
But if not, we don't want those funds to be unused. We would move those up to the line item for grants and then include that into the HFS.
And that is not gonna be necessarily listed here. You're just telling us what would happen if we don't move somewhere at rent. Correct. Okay.
Would we be, again, this is still hypothetical, but hypothetically, would we be able to keep those funds in reserve even after November 1st? Or do you?
Any
just
funds
want
that are unspent
Mhm.
stay in that fund, in the local public health services grant. We don't have to give any money back if it's unspent.
Mhm.
So if anything, even this year, if anything's unspent, it would just go towards that fund balance to be able to fund things in the future,
Mhm.
different programs, anything of that sort. So yes, it can go unused and leave it in rent. Or we can move it around to a different account to utilize it.
Okay.
Yeah, but we definitely have that opportunity to keep it as our part of the fund balance.
Okay.
But first we have to see if we can find some space.
Okay, any further discussion? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve item 24 and 28.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item, under the grant request section, item 2429, discussion and vote receive immunization coag grant.
I don't have all the. No, you can't. You're remote speak. In Jody's absence, I'll try to present this to the best of my ability. We do have a new grant cycle for the immunization co-ed grant, starting July 1st, going through June 30th of 2025. We are asking for approval to receive that funding. We have received this grant for 7-8 years, so it is a continuation of the services that we currently offer in our immunization clinic. I believe it is in the amount of around $616,000 for this next grant cycle. And attached to the paperwork is the appropriation request on how we submitted our budget to the State Department of Health and their approval of that budget. It does fund pretty much 100% of our mobile clinic. And then it also supports our immunization staff that isn't specifically tied to the mobile unit.
Does that include funding most of the part-time staff? Like
Yes,
seasonal.
100% covers the part-time staff. The only members that aren't covered are those that are within our county health department budget that we've had, for years. With this grant is what we were able to expand and create the mobile team.
But for this upcoming year, the plan is to use the funds for the same sorts of things that you've been using in the past 70 years.
Yep, exactly. The only thing we're not able to use this fund for, one of the main things, is the purchase of vaccines. That has to stay coming from our county health department's budget. But anything else related to the immunization program, supplies, services, we're able to utilize this funding.
So you can buy the supplies, like you can buy the,
The syringes, the
Syringes.
gauze, the
but
Band-Aids,
you can't buy the.
but not the actual vaccine.
Refrigerator.
Okay.
Okay. Got a motion?
I move to accept the receipt of the immunization coag grant as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, 2430, discussion of vote to receive health PHEP grant.
Yes, we are asking for this grant to also be accepted. the plan for this grant is to use this to offset the salary of the public health coordinator position for the year to fully utilize the grant.
Any questions or not? I'll entertain a motion.
I make a motion to approve item 2430.
Thank you. Do we have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. Any further discussion or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Next item on our topic, our section is old business. We have none. After that, we have public comment. If you want to speak, please sign up. Sign up either over here at Jenny's desk by the front door or the entry door. At regular meetings, the public is invited to address the board for 3 minutes regarding items posted or not posted on the agenda. Individuals may only speak once during this section of the agenda. Speakers shall properly identify themselves by stating their name and address for the record. Personnel issues are not to be addressed during the open sessions of the Board of Health. The board president may interrupt, warn, or terminate a person's statement if it becomes personally directed, abusive, obscene, or inflammatory. So with that.
No one has signed up.
No one signed up. All right. Next item on the agenda, time and place of our next regular meeting. It would be August 21st, 2024, 4:30 p.m. back down on the 4th floor in the council chambers where they meet. That's okay with everybody?
Yes.
Last item is adjournment. So
I make a motion to adjourn.
great.
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor, leave.
That was good.
21st.
Okay.
Oh.
Jenny, what would you like to say?
Can I collect all the CVs from you?
This one, so I can.
Yeah,
I.
Contractors. They're still working on
Well, we don't, all your texts are.